Hi, everybody. I'm Kate Dillon from Crate Insider and Cars Racing Show, and I'm sitting here with
Jimmy Schultz
from Dirt Rap.
Dirt Rap, and your brother.
Yes, and my brother.
I'm the less famous of the two.
Oh, well, I used to be your sister.
Well, now I'm your brother. But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. It happens when you get older, gray.
Yeah, and today we're here to talk about the Cars Racing Show. Let's do a little bit of a recap from our 2020 our 2020 show. Obviously 2020 is one heck of a year for everybody. I mean, everybody in the entire world is a heck of a year. And do you want to talk about like why we decided to even do the show during like the most challenging time to ever do a trade show in the world?
That was a ride, wasn't it?
Oh my god. Wow.
That's right.
Wow, it was a roller coaster for sure.
Was. Yeah. But it was a lot of fun. It was very rewarding. We at the time when all the other trade shows had canceled, and we had gotten a lot of inquiries from people that we had, because we had organized trade shows in the past, and so we had gotten inquiries from people that we knew in the industry that were really concerned about not having in-person event at all to be able to sell their products or to display their products, and so it's actually, I have to give Kate all the credit here for having the idea, because she asked me, she said, "Hey Jimmy, you want to do a trade show in the middle of COVID?" And I'm like, well, I remember the text that I sent. I was like, well, I don't know, but I'm so glad we did. It was very challenging, but it was very rewarding, because the most rewarding part for me was the feedback we received from the exhibitors that came and participated in the show, of how thankful they were for us providing the venue for them and persevering to conduct the event, and the amount, then how, I mean, there's a lot of exhibitors that depend for a lot of their income on trade shows,
right? And
so to be able to allow them to generate the income stream that they did before Christmas and all of that was highly rewarding. It was one of the best things that I've been involved with in a long time.
Yeah, I've started businesses, and basically I jump off a cliff and then just figure out how to build the plane on the way down, and I'm not adverse to risk, but I will say I had to have more bravery just to stick it out. There were so many times that like I could have, if you would have thought it was okay to quit, I would have quit. And I think there were times that if I hadn't held out, like it took a lot to have that level of bravery and so much skin in the game, so much risk to take. But hey, to talk about the outcome of it, there was not one COVID case. We were not a super spreader event. We did what we needed to do to make sure that we could have a show.
And I really appreciate all of our attendees and their cooperation, because of the mandates at the time, which we did not expect. We had mandates that hit us about a week and a half before the show. And we decided to go ahead and do it anyway. And thank you so much to the staff at the Hickory Metro Convention Center for standing up for us.
Yeah.
And because they didn't have to. We actually had gotten there was an inquiry from the governor's office directly to our show, and they stood up for us to be able to have this. And but we actually took everybody's temperature at the door. We provided masks for everybody, and we had sanitation stations everywhere. And not one person complained about it.
And nobody liked it. None of us wanted it, But
we did what we had to do in order to make it happen. And I think that's kind of like the spirit of racers, is that, we don't always like what we have to do, but we
don't like the rules.
Yeah, so but you either do it or you don't. And we did, and so it was a very rewarding experience.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and of course, last year we were December. It was during the dates. The PRI canceled last year, and it was during those dates. And of course, we're not December this year. So talk about the dates that we chose.
Well, we chose the dates because of,
and you can say what the dates are.
Yeah, the dates are January 7th and 8th, 2022. Same location, the Hickory Metro Convention Center. We chose those dates because we looking at all of the other things that we didn't want to schedule on top of anybody else. And that was for the preservation of our show, obviously, but also to not cannibalize somebody else's event that they had. start thinking about Thanksgiving, or after Thanksgiving you have PRI. There's the Gateway Show, the Gateway Race, Christmas, New Year's. We have the Charlotte World Finals that's actually going on right now. So we just really thought about it, and we had in the past, 2011, 12, 13, we had done the show in first weekend in January, and we always got a lot of positive feedback from that and a lot of participation. So we thought that was going to be our best available. I mean, it's not perfect. There's always something that's going to be, there's never not an ideal date, that everybody marks on their calendar and says, hey, this is a great date for a trade show. Somebody should do it.
Well, there's not one weekend in the entire year that isn't either a holiday or a race.
That's right.
A major race.
Well, I think that's it's an indictment of racing right now. That I think there's in my business, Dirt Wrap, that I have seen it gone from having a dedicated off season where people would race their cars, and then at the end in the off season they would strip their cars down, they'd rebody. We had time to redo a design, wrap their cars. It's not that way anymore. It's pretty much year round now. I mean, we have racetracks racing races in December, in Georgia, and then they're racing right away in Georgia and Florida in January. And so it's a year-round deal right now, and so that is actually another part of what we're talking about with the trade show. Another component is that how that year-round racing now, how that alone, even in a normal circumstance, would stress the supply chain.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Would you not think so?
100%. And we'll talk more about supply chain probably in another video. But back to the recap. What were some of your favorite moments from the trade show last year?
Wow, there were so many. It was just a blur for me because I was so. I don't think I slept for a few days beforehand. And
yeah.
What about you? Start. And I'll think about it.
I think some of my favorite things were after months and months of basically lockdown. I mean, we had the dedicated lockdown, and then there was the pretty much the whole summer of pay-per-view racing and 6 feet distance from everybody, and I just had felt really disconnected from the people that that I'm we can have a phone call, but a phone call is not the same as being able to shake somebody's hand. And yeah, use hand sanitizer afterwards.
That's right.
But but still, to be able to look somebody in the eye, to smile, to tell jokes, like there are those micro moments that cannot be recreated any other way than by being in person, and being able to connect directly with my customers was fantastic. Obviously, January is a really busy year for my business. Being able to get a head start on the year and get some product out the door. I had 50-foot booth, so I had a whole lot of product with me. We did a lot of sales, but the best part about it, what I loved, is that I was able to serve my customers, put product right in their hands that they could go home and put onto their race car. They could save money, and I could save money in hassle with shipping. I mean, we ship every day, but isn't it a lot easier when you can just pick up a product? I would say this was basically like having a pop-up mall but it was race car products. And it was circle track, it was dirt, you weren't crawling over a bunch of random stuff. I loved that about our show.
Absolutely. Me personally, it was so gratifying with my business that so much of what my business is mail order. And I talk to a lot of people on the phone, and we have customers, all over the country, really. And to be able to see so many of them in person, that it's the only time of the year I'm probably going to see them. Mm-hmm. And to be able to sit down in that venue, we didn't have the pressure of somebody having to go out to qualify or hot lap or that they're trying to get out of the racetrack or whatever. To be able to just be relaxed and calm, and to be able to talk about their racing, talk about their families, and the other things they have going on in their lives. That's always the most rewarding part to me, because it's the personal connection. Because if you're not connected personally with the people that you work with on a daily basis, it's kind of,
it's just a commodity.
Exactly. And that's not the way it is for us. But which leads into my favorite. Now you're talking about my favorite story. So my favorite story is not business related at all. It is the fact that, and this is an indictment of what her and I went through to get the show going. So as we spent so much time at the end just trying to make sure that we could go because of COVID, that staffing, not she had to run her booth, I had to run my booth. So it was just her and I and the people that were around us. But we had to have somebody at the door registering people with badges, and we were taking money at the door and ticketing and things like that. So it was my daughter Gabby, my son Luke, my son Seth, my son Ben, and my daughter's boyfriend Kunal, and
your wife.
And well, she was working in the booth.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so as this is going, we ended up having. Luke was taking the money, and Luke at the time was 17, which was fine. And then Seth and Ben, they were 9 and 11, and doing the badges. Well, then midday through Saturday, Luke comes into the Dirt Rat booth, and he just wants to see how Dad's doing. I said, hey, buddy, it's going really good. How's it going up front? And he says, really good. And I said, well, if you're here, who's in there taking money? He says, I think Ben is. Ben's 9. So I walked up front, and sure enough, Ben at 9 years old was in the ticket booth taking money. So it just goes to show that with us it's a family environment, obviously, but also to how involved we are personally with the success of this show.
Well, that reminds me, it's such a great racing story right there, because you and I grew up. Our dad was a race car driver, and at one point he was sponsored by a beer distributor it was the Pabst Blue Ribbon car.
That's right.
And I'm sure that this would be like a huge no, but when we were kids, to pour keg cups, to help after the races, everybody got together and kids are helping. We're not like, alcoholics or anything, but we're, pouring the keg cups for the people and serving the people.
Oh, absolutely. 7, 8 years old out there, and making sure you pour it on the side so it doesn't foam up. And some people had a special request of how that would work, but you knew them all in there.
But the involvement, and being involved as a kid and feeling like you're part of something.
That's right.
And I think that's going to be a great experience that the kids can take away, that they can feel like they were they were really part of it.
And they were and all of them had such a great time that none of them would miss this for the world. So all of you attendees, when you come and you walk in, probably somebody working that you're going to run into. We're going to have staff shirts and things like that, but you're going to run into somebody that's probably related to us. And so make sure you maybe don't give Ben too much money, because I'm not sure if we got it. So
how are his math skills?
Does he know how to change? That's right.
Or is it just tip included?
That's right.
So yeah, all in all, it was a success. Let's talk about the numbers. One thing we were limited on last year is we could only have so many people in the building at one time. So we actually were having to. We had an app that we were using, and we had 2 Apple devices. One was counting them as they came in, and one was counting them as they went out, so that we could always tell. We had to be responsible for that, just in case we were asked. It's like, okay, this is how many people are in the building right now. So we had a big limitation. We were very targeted with our advertising and who we were trying to reach, and we could only have so big of a show. It turned out it was perfect, because this isn't a show that's going to ever have like 50,000 people at it or anything. We're at 2,500 to 5,000, and that's a comfortable spot, because it gives you a chance to actually sit and have not actually sit, but you can stand and have a conversation, and you're not feeling rushed when there's just so many people and you can't hardly move. Oh, that's not fun. That is literally not fun for anybody.
It's not. And I think our number last year, I think it was around 900 is what we could have in the building, not including our exhibiters.
Right.
But at 900 attendees at one time. And I know on Saturday that we hovered at that number all day.
Yeah.
And so, but then also, we really had plans to do a lot of seminars and instructional type classes. We have conference rooms and all of that sort of stuff there, but all of that got shut down because of COVID. It's interesting, even though the trade show was a retail event. So we followed under the same rules as what Lowe's or Home Depot or Walmart does. But the conference rooms themselves were under a different jurisdiction. So we could only have 10 people in a conference room, and they had to be 6 feet apart and all that sort of stuff. And it just wasn't worth it to even try to have conferences. But also too, most people didn't spend the amount of time at the show like they will this year.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
now we've got some really exciting seminars we're working on, and
Yeah.
and that we're really busting out the seams here to release. And so people are going to probably come and stay all day, and we'll have, we don't have to worry about that 900 person restriction this year. So.
Yeah, and that'll be a big game changer, and it'll allow us to have more people. I'm glad we didn't have to turn anybody away, and that there was just kind of this constant. It was
Right.
just kind of a constant flow. It worked out really, really well.
And I mean, I had a lot of attendees last year thank us for putting the show on. A lot of people spent a lot of money last year and went
my
home
God.
with. I mean, there was a lot of exhibitors that actually sold everything they had that they brought, and people were going home with you can imagine what people were selling there. So they were really thankful that they could come and buy those things, especially in today's environment where shipping is keeps going up through the up and up and up, and there's not a thing that any of us can do about it. And that's something that we're going to really advertise a lot, how we can help that on this year's show as well. So.
Oh yeah, and we're planning, and we're really looking at all the pieces that go into a race car, and we're really trying to target. We have a solid group of exhibitors that are already signed up, and we're also targeting a few that we just feel like there's a need, and we'll do what we can to make sure that we can have as many of those supplies as we can right there at this year's show.
And I really want to plug Daytona 1, Buck Parker.
Yes, absolutely.
Buck stuck his neck out for us, and to God, it's about going to bring me to tears thinking about it. About the people that believe in you when you want to have an endeavor that you're trying to accomplish. And he believed in us enough to be the title sponsor of our show. And not only is he going to be the title sponsor again this year, but every exhibitor that exhibited last year signed up again for this year's show. So if there's any indication of how well the show went last year, I think that's probably as good as it gets.
It really is. It really is.
So thank you, Buck, if you're watching this.
Yes, thank you so much. And that's a great little recap. And hey, check out some of our other videos. You can see some interviews that were done at the show. And we'll have some more information for you coming up here soon.
And make sure that you register. You can either register on the link that's attached to this video, or you can go to carsracingshow.com, click on register, and then click on the yellow button that says get tickets.
And you can get them for free.
And you get them for free, and it's for free up until whenever it's
probably a couple weeks before the show.
Couple weeks, so we haven't decided on that yet. But at the show, we're charging at the door, so we would love it if everybody could sign up for free, and because we really don't, but we'll take your money.
Yeah,
So,
good way to
right.
go. So get your tickets
that's
today.
because Ben's expensive. Ben is very expensive. So
Well, hey, and any questions you have, drop them into the comments, and we are happy to answer them. Thanks so much for watching, and
Thank you.
we'll see you on the show.